Welcome to Off Brand by Cocokind. I'm Priscilla Tsai, Cocokind's founder and CEO, and each week I get into the real, unfiltered side of building a brand alongside our community and creating substantive beauty products. We don't believe in trying to be anyone but ourselves, and we don't think you should either. So come along as we get real and imperfect, go deeper on topics most beauty companies won't, and get a bit off brand. Welcome to our podcast, Off Brand. This is the Cocokind official podcast. I'm currently in my bedroom and I don't know what to do with my hands. I know it's a podcast, but we are going to be recording video because we're going to post those videos onto YouTube and sometimes show some clips on social. But this is a podcast, and I've certainly done a lot of podcast interviews before, but not one where we've hosted. But I'm so excited to be here. And with everything that we've literally ever done, we have to start somewhere. So today launches our podcast. I don't know if it's going to be literally 2 people or 5 people, maybe 10 or 50 or 100 or 500 people who tune in today. But I'm just so grateful that you're here, because for so long we've talked about our content and how unique the content that we put out there on social media really is. But there are so many times when a 90-second Reels or a 90-second TikTok video just didn't do it enough justice. Like, I think back at so many concepts that I've explained, whether it's about ingredients or behind the scenes, like how we develop our products and the true cost of our products, or talking about like marketing in the beauty industry and how I have so many issues about the lack of transparency about what you're paying for really when it comes to the beauty products that we use on our face every single day. There's so many topics that I could spend a true 30-minute or 40-minute podcast on that sometimes when I just put out 90 seconds, it just doesn't do it enough justice. I really want this particular podcast to be this really interesting intersection between product development, beauty business, founder life, and also community, right? And I think that's what we do on our social generally, which we feel like really works for our brand in particular, where we are able to kind of talk about the things that most brands don't talk about. We're able to meet our community and speak with our community in a way that feels so genuine and real and authentic, and also educate on either subjects that are typically really boring or subjects that definitely most beauty brands don't want to be diving into. And do that in a way that, a regular person who's not in a product development meeting can understand and really appreciate, to help decipher like what is the noise and what's real in this industry. Because it's such a beautiful industry, the beauty industry, but there's so many nuances. And when we think about products, from the prices to our marketing to the overall efficacy, there's just so much involved in how products are created and marketed in this industry. And I feel like our unique lens is always combining like PD, product development, with like a consumer standpoint, right? Like I'm always number one. I feel like my number one job is always to be an advocate for our customer. That's my number one job. And also this idea of community, like a real community. And I'm not saying community in the way that typical brands talk about community. I think about community being like, oh, Britta, my girl who went to Napa with us, Britta talking to Kelsey, an amazing person that has come into our community and who is an Ulta fanatic. And actually I learned that like Kelsey and Britta met up, and they met through the world of Cocokind, and they met up for lunch in, I think, Indianapolis. And, that to me is like this idea where we're building this community where people hype each other up, they meet each other, they have so many similar values so that we get along and we can really support each other. Like that's community. I feel like our sense as a brand, our community is our customers and all the people in our overall ecosystem. And what I really feel so grateful for is the fact that we spend our whole days, right? Everybody in the company, everything we spend our time on is frankly like how do we deliver value? Like how do we really deliver something with value to customers? Customers show us in turn so much love in their purchases, in trusting us with their skincare, in comments, in DMs, in just words of encouragement. And then we give it back to them, right? In brand trips and all these fun giveaways and events where, we just go over and beyond a way that we never want to feel arm's length. Like we go really out of our way to just be right there with our customer. And that to me is community. Actually, I was thinking about this the other day, the idea that I have been a founder in the beauty industry for 10 years. And when I look around and I'm so lucky to know so many founders in this industry that most of whom have been incredibly supportive of my journey and Cocokind, and really, making me feel valued too, and just being such supporters of mine through a very, long journey being an entrepreneur. And but it's funny, I had this realization that I was like, wow, like there's so many conferences that people don't realize that founders go to, and these conferences, you guys, they cost like thousands of dollars for founders to go to. Like unless you're like a celebrity getting asked to speak on a panel, or you're just getting asked to speak on a panel generally for these like very hotshot CEO conferences, other people are paying like literally $10,000 just to go, not including like accommodation and all that stuff, right? They are so expensive. And sometimes when these conferences happen, I get some FOMO, like, oh, I just feel left out, or I don't know, I just have a little bit of FOMO. But then I had this realization, because one of these happened recently, and I was seeing all this social content, and I was like, wow, like, I wonder when I'm going to be asked to speak on a panel, so I don't have to pay $10,000, because I'm definitely not paying $10,000. But I realized that I, as a founder, spend so much time with our customers. Like every single month this year, I have spent like real substantial time with our customers, from a whole night taking 10 customers or 8 customers to a Beyonce concert, to a whole brand trip with our best customers and passionate community members, like a whole weekend, 3 days, right? That we've already done twice this year. Spending time with them on the phone, meeting with them in real life, doing demos. Like I realize like I really do value putting my time with our customers, and that is like my thing as a CEO. So it's not going to be as much of like the flashy typical CEO stuff, but I don't know. I realized like, that's what I prefer, like more than going to these like flashy conferences, and posting about it. Like I want to spend my time with our customers, because our customers make us better. Our customers, I feel so insanely grateful for, and they ultimately give us so much reason and purpose and literally dollars to be here standing today as a successful beauty company. So anyways, that's all to say that this podcast overall is for our customers and our community. And one of the things that's really important to me when we're thinking about, why a podcast and what makes it different, there obviously are a million podcasts out there, is the idea that I want, similar to just why people find Cocokind, I just want people to have like a safe place, very vulnerable, very authentic place where I'm not pretending to be anything. I'm not inviting celebrities to be on here. I'm not going to only talk about the wins we've had. I'm not going to talk about how successful of a female founder I am. I want to be like a real person in your corner. I want to be someone who's a real educator. And ultimately, I want to be a motivation for people to live the most authentic life and the most empowered life that we can, because that's why Cocokind ultimately exists. Now, the reason why we called this podcast Off-Brand, and I'll tell you some other names that we considered, which were, I don't know, kind of embarrassante now that I think about it, but there's a point where I say okay so a lot. Like every time I do like an Instagram video or a TikTok, like I start my videos, I'll be like, okay, so. And so that was an idea. There was another idea called But Really, like kind of like, but really, what is the, truth? And then but then it, I don't know, it just started sounding really weird. Then we came up with the idea Off-Brand. And when we were in this team meeting, that just immediately made us really excited, because there's just this idea that everything that we see, so much of what we see these days, especially on our phones, is so curated. It's so like trying to be something. It's so aspirational. And the idea of being off-brand is so like, oh my God, don't do anything that would be so off-brand. I mean, the amount of times I've heard in my 10 years of creating Cocokind, are you scared that that's going to be off-brand? Is that off-brand? And when it's really just me being me, or us being us, And just the idea that like it's just showing something that's a little bit vulnerable, that is what really excited us, because we were like, off-brand is on brand for us. Like off-brand is the new on brand, particularly for a brand like Cocokind. And I like the idea of just people embracing being off-brand. I don't want to be someone else, right? I don't want to be perfect. I don't want to be aspirational. That's like the last thing that I want. I want to be me. And there have definitely been points, so many points in my life where I have not embraced that, where I didn't feel comfortable, where I didn't feel enough, and I wanted to be like someone else. I wanted to look like someone else. I felt bad that I wasn't like someone else. And by the way, these are still thoughts that I have to work at every single day, because at various points of time, again, mostly when I'm like scrolling, where I might have, some of those feelings, and I have to constantly work at it. And for me, I love the idea of embracing being off-brand, because it also gets at the idea of individuality and uniqueness. And ultimately, whether it's physical appearance or just emotions or just like who we are as people, like our uniqueness is what makes us so beautiful and special and valued. So that's what I wanted. And we ultimately love that name and why we wanted to call this podcast Off Brand. I hope you love that. With everything, you have to start somewhere. And that's how I feel about this podcast. Like I said, I think probably like 50 people are going to listen today. Like, I don't think it's going to be this like, huge splash yet. But what I'm really excited about and what I'm committed to doing is 50 episodes over the next year. So that's one podcast episode a week that I want to commit to doing. And I want to just see like how it goes. Do people like it? Do we have an audience? Is it proving value in a very crowded podcast world where we're all busy and like, I don't know, do people want to listen to me talk for freaking 40 minutes a week? I have no idea, but I know that we have, as a brand, we have so much to say. We have so much content to lead in this industry. And I want to extend the substance, like the true substance of what we say on social media, to longer form content. And so with that, with Off Brand, I am committed to doing one a week for the whole year. And just to see, like, I'm treating it almost like a startup, like this podcast. Like, how does it go? Are we able to build it? Is there an audience for it? Is there a market for it? And we'll see, ultimately how it goes. And I think that's also, for so many people, there's that trend right now going about like post the content, and you just got to start somewhere. And I fully have lived that with Cocokind. I mean, back in when we first started, like our Instagram, I would do that, and it was like très embarrassante. Like so cringy if I look at it now. And I might listen to this podcast a year from now and be like, that is so cringy. I can't believe I did that. But I don't really care. I want to try it, and I have to start somewhere, even if that somewhere is truly on the ground. That's okay, because I'm interested in the build. So just for anybody who's thinking about starting anything, whether it's a business, whether it's content, whether it's a podcast or anything, just know that like you have to be cringe. You have to be comfortable with like no ego, being like, I'm starting at the very ground level and I'm committed to building, and I'm going to give it a real shot, not like half-assed, right? Like I am actually going to dedicate a whole year, 40-minute podcast every single week, right? That's a lot of time that I'm going to put into this, but I want to see, and I am hoping that we can build something truly amazing that is a podcast for years and years to come. So I just want to, kind of state that that's my intention, because I think there's also power in building. And I'm not going to pretend to you that I'm launching this podcast with 5,000 people listening on day one. I have no idea what that's going to be. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if that number is 10 today, because I know that I am committed to building something.